And they're off.
Further Faster, the best independently owned outdoor store in the known universe. Whether you are heading out on climbing, paddling, tramping or running adventures, look no farther than Further Faster for all your gear and expertise needs over the winter. Head on over to 57A Buchan Street, Sydenham, Otatahi, Christchurch, or hit them up at furtherfaster.co.nz. And before we crack on, we are heading, well actually, I'm not, Matt and Ellie are heading. They don't like my voice. and before we crack on, Matt and Ellie are heading down to Further Faster Friday. Further Faster Friday, October 17th for a live show. This is the weekend of the Crater Rim Ultra, so join Ellie, Matt, and a host of special guests for an excellent evening celebrating the sport that we love with some absolute legends. That's you lot. Stay tuned for ticket sales soon.
Wow, I feel like I'm listening to a 90s radio show.
Wasn't there a guy called Vas Deferens on
Vas Deferens, yeah.
BFM? Vas Deferens.
You covered it in what?
We got something like Further Faster, they're in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious. Go to Further Faster now.
Oh, Further Faster, they're in Christchurch. Rocky is hairy and so is Badger. Jules is nice and Jacob is delicious.
Go to Further Faster now.
Dirt Church Radio.
Episode 380 of Dirt Church Radio, the trail and ultra running resource you didn't know you needed. I'm Matt Raymond.
I'm Ali Pottinger.
I'm Andrew McDowell. And that's Seb in the background.
Yeah,
But to kick the door in, before we start, support Dirt Church Radio on Substack. We don't have a Patreon or any other online method of accruing funds. So after 8 years of sharing the voices and the stories, interesting stories with interesting runners, please, we need your help to keep going strong. Your support helps us reach new places, shares more interesting stories, as I said, and continues documenting the sport we all love. So join our community and help to fuel the next chapter of Dirt Church Radio. We would really appreciate it. And if you don't, well, that's fine too. We'll always be here, and this podcast will always be free. Ellie, Andrew, buddies, it's nice to see you.
Likewise.
Andrew, we got questions.
You do?
You eloped. Oh. You cheated on us with a continent. What happened? Now you're sore.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew.
Yeah, I know it's pretty lame, isn't it? World's smallest violin. I did one of those stupid 24-hour track ultras, and I mean, I never look forward to them, and I can't actually say that I particularly enjoy it while it's happening, but it's more of a puzzle. It's a puzzle that I can't figure out, and it's kind of driving me nuts. This particular one, I didn't tell anybody really at all.
Even us.
No, not even you guys. Sorry, because I wanted to run it without being influenced by any I call it sort of running without ego, which is an attempt anyway. It's sort of no one's watching you, no one's following along, so you don't feel any external pressures to sort of do anything. And if the run's a complete write-off, you don't even have to tell anyone you went. And I did consider that, and then I realized I'm not that special, and you can just put it on Strava, it's fine. Wheels fell off only 6 hours in. I don't know why. I don't know what the heck's going on. But I just was shattered. I tried to run, the body's like, nah, I'm not running. Don't want to know. It was just a bit of a disaster, really. I ended up walking for 17 hours, and because I was just like, well, I've got nowhere else to be, and it was freezing overnight. I got so cold. I did have to go inside for about 20 minutes just to lie down and warm up. That was the only reason I went in, because I was so I had every bit of clothing I had, including a giant puffy jacket, a beanie on, gloves, and I was shivering. It was probably 0 degrees. I don't know. I was freezing for whatever reason, even moving. And the little warm-up did help, and I managed to get out there. But I just really had to walk it the rest of the thing, and it's pretty soul-destroying, actually, because I did actually, despite not telling anybody, I put a huge amount of effort into it, like preparing. I did the right sort of training. I tried to really focus it in so that this would be, and that included things like the Denny's Marathon. Like, the reason I extended that was to get more flat running, with stopping, with eating. It actually worked out really well, and the timing was good too. It was the long run, 4 weeks out. Like, the whole thing worked out really well, which I kind of kept to myself. But in the end, didn't make any difference. I probably had one of, if not the worst 24-hour run ever. So maybe I should tell everybody and hold myself more accountable. I don't know. I don't think that was it either way, but I don't know. Like, obviously a huge part of me just sort of says, man, it's just not your thing. Just pack it in. Don't keep trying to flog yourself. But then, of course, I know that for the rest of my days, I'll have that little voice saying, it got you, didn't it? It beat you. You weren't good enough. You couldn't figure it out. And that's going to be a really annoying voice, and I'm not sure I'll be able to completely silence it, so I may have to try it again. But at the moment, hell no. It's got my number, and I don't seem to be able to figure it out. So yeah, that was my last weekend. And now my hip hurts. I don't know what's going on there.
Stupid hip. Which one?
Left. Always the left. Even though I'm left-legged, that's the one I always have problems with. It's the one that got broken in football 20 years ago when someone kicked my fibula instead of a ball, and it's never quite been the same since. Yeah, and my calf muscles are completely different shapes as a result. So yeah. I'm looking forward to going.
Well, I think you're cool.
Thanks. It is pretty like, you know.
If you can walk it in and still get over you still touch 150k. And I know you've gone much, much further than that. You know, you've gone into the twos.
Well, I mean, I got beaten by 3 walkers. That doesn't really fill you with much confidence, does it?
Yeah, they were probably cheating though.
They're probably pros though. Like, you don't train.
They
to
were
walk.
hardcore. They were hardcore walkers. That's true.
Yeah.
But still, that doesn't help your confidence going forward. You know, you kind of just start to go, "Oh man, is that it? Is the ship sailed? Is it time to hang the?" You know, you go through all that sort of nonsense, and obviously, I know, but getting the mojo back again might take a wee while. So yeah, that was me. How about you guys? How about you, Ellie?
I just had a very leisurely matariki weekend, to be honest. So what do? We had a few bike rides in the forest, and I have to just put out a public service announcement that Rotorua is a terrible, terrible place to visit. Please don't come and clog up our trails. They're not worth visiting. If you like running or mountain biking, don't come to Rotorua in the school holidays. Because we went out on the bike and Sebastian kept loudly asking why everyone was going so slowly. And no, but seriously, it's a great place. It's nice to see, you know, like at the back it being that tourist destination, but it's just hard when it's your local trails and you're like, what is this bullshit? Like, normally I have them all to myself. Yeah, but yeah, so I got out on the trails on the mountain bike and we did a little nighttime road game with some friends, which was pretty fun. All the little kids stamping things away, which was cool. And a little trip to the beach and lots of people getting in touch about my faux pas from last week's episode and saying that they enjoy Andrew from the future as well.
Oh man, you guys and your
keeping us honest.
You guys and your name pronunciations. You guys had a shocker last week. It's 3 of the most well-known.
I've got a friend. His last name is Bolovic.
Okay.
His last name is Bolovic, and it's spelled Boljevic. Bolovic. And so I saw Ludovic, the French pronunciation, and went full Serbian. Yeah, that's where that. So I'll put my hand up for that one. Apologies. Ludo, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, you're right.
Kiss
Andrew,
the ring, Matt. Kiss the ring.
I'll bend the knee. Absolutely. I'll kiss the rock. I'll kiss his rock. I'll kiss his ring. Or whatever his rock.
This is not improving.
Okay.
Anyway.
We went there.
Everything's fine.
Matt, how are you? How was your weekend?
I had the most epic weekend.
Did you?
Yeah, absolutely. I inspired both by the Steel Brothers, the Motowaisi Slugs, and our guest this week, Rebecca and I ran from Cascades Kauri, it's called, in just 20 minutes from my house in Tahinga at Bethel's Beach, over to Piha and back. And on Saturday, it was 38k, 1,800 meters elevation, and some of the most beautiful time running. And I know it's like, I thought about it, it's this, you know, it was part of the Hillary Trail before it was partially closed, and I know it's changed so much, Andrew. I actually thought of you going down the stairs, you know, before that climb up to Anafota car park, and I was thinking, man, he'd be angry at this because it's all, there's a lot of gravel, there's a lot of boardwalk protecting everything, but it's epic. Ran into the night.
I have done that new one, and it's okay. I'm just happy it's there, to be honest. But it is an extraordinary amount of infrastructure that's been put in. Like, whoa.
Yeah. No. So feeling great. I mean, a little bit tired today, and backed up with a run yesterday, and just happy to keep putting blocks, just building. So yeah, it was really, really, really good. And man, the West Coast is beautiful, and the Waitakere Ranges are absolutely stunning. And we saw so many people out, and yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, very, very happy, very, very happy. Something else happened. Didn't see a lick of sport this weekend. Obviously, Hard Rock was on. The All Blacks played. The Warriors were on. The World Cup of football is on. Saw none of it. But Hard Rock, goodness me, what a spectacle! Clockwise loop this year. So Courtney DeWalter and Ludovic Fine Wine Pomeray. My goodness, records falling left, right, and centre. Courtney DeWalter 26:03.10 for the women's, breaking her own CR by 8 minutes. Kareth Arnold, 32:31. And Tara Dower, 33:02.04. Not bad. She was in taper after Western State.
Oh,
That's
true.
crazy.
Tapered for Hard Rock by coming 6th at Western States 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and then
amazing.
she just rocks out 3rd place at Hard Rock, like in a pretty impressive time.
Amazing. Look, go to Iron Farr, listen to her interview, and she's talking about how she felt something like explode in a hamstring, and she was like, I can still run, so I'll keep it. Just these people are built different. And Andrew, look, you talk about your best years behind you.
Yeah,
Ludovic
I know.
Pomeray, he's 51.
He's given us old guys
Is
a pretty
he?
bad name. He's removing our
51 years
excuses.
old.
Wow.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And he's not just beating everyone;
100%.
he's destroying everybody.
That's-
he's so far
yeah.
ahead. So is Courtney. Courtney's got 4.5 hours
Yeah.
on second place, and 2.5 hours Ludo has. So it's just incredible. I was just thinking, when Anna Frost ran, she was running about 28, 29 hours. She would have got second place this year, so she was pretty up there, eh? So
Yeah.
you see a few of these course records going down, but overall, everyone's taken roughly the same amount of time that they did 15 years ago.
It's interesting, isn't it? It shows the difference in the courses between Western States and the ability for crew access and all that sort of stuff. I wonder if the F1 pit stops are as prevalent. I like Jimmy Elam. My goodness me, he was on a 6-run winning streak, and he won Wasatch. He had a blinder. Tom Evans, who was, he was the other sort of hot contender. He was looking strong as hell, and but DNF'd, I think, about 100k in.
Oh.
I think, don't quote me on that, but
Is it
elevation? Amazing.
Is that what got him? Like just the elevation, the acclimatization, not enough time to. I don't know. Yeah, I expected him to be.
Do you see all that stuff he's been doing? And one of the meme accounts, the dude who does the voiceovers, Dylan, he was saying, there's that thing of him running backwards on the treadmill with the weights. Have you seen that? And he's got ankle weights on.
I've seen the main video. Yeah, not the.
But basically,
main
the
one.
voiceover video of his ladies, if you see this on his social media, just get out of the house. Like, just go. Check that out, because he looks like he's probably got someone in a cage in the back. And you're thinking like that amount of dedication. And but yeah, he didn't make it, unfortunately. So
And then Killian with his
but what a
infrared meme thing, whatever the heck Killian was doing this week.
Oh, that normal meme.
I think
If they were after attention, they did very well.
a virality.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Nonetheless, we are all entertained, and
Yeah.
and so that's great.
Yeah, this week we had an incredible conversation with someone who loves going out in the hills. Ali and I spoke to Audrée Lafrenière, who is a trail and ultra marathon runner from Quebec, and is based now in North Vancouver. And you'll know Audrey from the amazing YouTube videos she features in with her partner Jeff Pelleier. Audrey's a coach, athlete, and absolute lover of the sport and culture. And this was an incredible conversation that we're so happy to bring you. But before that, we'll do this.
It's the greatest run ever. It's the greatest run ever.
Greatest Run Ever, which is the part of the show where we ask you to write into us and tell us your greatest run ever. It doesn't have to be a race or a mountain summit. Might just be a run around the block, something that's sung to you for some reason. Send them in to us at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com. And this is from Sian Garrett, who writes, I love your podcast and look forward to each new episode. Thank you, Sian. It was such a joy to meet Ali at Ultra Trail Australia, and then even more special to have her call me over the line. My greatest run ever is the Ultra Trail Australia 50 in 2026. For many years now, I've always been up at UTA in some capacity. The last 2 years crewing for my dear friend Tina for the 100, and previous to that, volunteering a few times, and simply just spending time cheering friends and strangers on all weekend. Last year, after crewing for the second time for Trina, something stirred in me, stronger than it had previously. I always came away from UTA inspired, but this time it was stronger and different. I wondered, what if? Why not me? And surely if all these amazing people of all ages and abilities could do it, then maybe just this old duck could. I have done 5 half marathons and a Sydney marathon. That did not go well. It was 2023 and the hottest day in the history of the world. I'd had COVID the Sunday before and still finished, but in 7 hours. I was so disappointed. But this felt different. So I pondered in my heart for some time, and then about 2 weeks before entries went live, I pulled Trina aside one day after parkrun and whispered, I think I want to do the UTA 50. Will you do it with me? It was a huge twist of the arm, and she swiftly said yes. So I waited for sign-up day. I'm a school nurse, so I was just interrupt. What's up, nurse? Nurse to nurse. Nurse respect. I am a school nurse, so I was praying fervently that the children would all stay away while I did my best to lock in my entry. They did, and I got in. I trained hard. I trained diligently. I incorporated strength twice a week and hills or stairs once a week out on the trails. And something magical happened. I fell in love with trails. I spent my time hiking and learned that even though some of the uphills and stairs were my weaknesses, the downhills and the flats were where I could run and make up my time. I will never forget the entire weekend of Ultra Trail Australia 2026. Going to check-in felt like Christmas Eve. I was on a high and a child in wonderment. We went and saw Ali at the expo, and she mentioned that one year she went for a few reps of Ferbert in the darkness and caught runners resting at the little rest spot halfway up and told them to get moving. Saturday morning came, and I had slept so well. I was in heaven. Christmas morning had come. My only expectation was to finish within 14 hours and 30 minutes. I just wanted to take it all in and enjoy it. The start line was full of friends there to cheer us on. This was big for me, and they all knew and understood, and I loved them so much for being there. Off we went, and I gave Ali a huge smile and a wave. I was so excited. I smashed Narrow and back to the start. Got carried away, of course, in the atmosphere. We all saw our friends again, and off we went back past the start line. My friend Trina had started to become unwell in Narrow. We chatted about just walking again, and no pressure. I just wanted to have fun. I encouraged her, and we pushed on. The plan to reassess how she was at the echo point. She still didn't feel well, but wanted to push on, so I plodded along in front of her. We got down to the bottom to Fern Bower, and she didn't look good, but we plodded back up all those stairs, and at the top she looked like, well, you know what she looked like. It was then I made the call to kick her off course, and I called the medics to come and grab her and our friend as well. That was so bloody hard leaving her, knowing she was so unwell, knowing that we were supposed to do this together. This was my plan and my dream, to compete my first one with her. Once I sent the medics her exact location and knew then and there that my friend were on their way to get her, I left. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried. We got to Elysian Rock where they take your photos, or is it Olympian Rock? I can never remember. Either way, I knew it was there that the camera was going to be, so I stopped and gathered myself, wiped my tears, and put on a big smile when I crossed that bridge. At the other side were 2 amazing women who I didn't know, but they saw how sad I was, and I burst into tears again when they asked if I was okay. They just hugged me, and I told them I had to leave my friend. They hugged me a bit longer and then sent me off, reminding me to get this done. I was so thankful for those girls. I saw another Buddy Colin at Gordon's Falls, more tears and more hugs, and then he told me my hubby was only 30 minutes ahead, so I had a new focus. Even though I knew I wouldn't, I decided to try and catch him. It was then that my race started. I ran down all the stairs and the flats, passing so many people, I felt like I was playing Pac-Man. and it became a game of catch the next person and try to close the gap with my hubby. I flew down the hill onto the first checkpoint and straight in. I knew I wanted to be swift and not waste time, but Trina was there and all my friends, and I was so happy to see her and to see her looking so much better. I hugged her so tight. Then she switched into super efficient crew boss. She had me off to the toilet, and then when I came back, she was taking my flasks and refilling them and directing me to food. With another bunch of quick hugs, I was off. 10 minutes in checkpoint 1. I'd said from the start that I was hoping to be at QVH within 6 hours, so I knew I had to hustle. I'm so fortunate to have been able to train on 90% of the course regularly, so this was also familiar to me, and once again I was passing so many people down the stairs and hills, but not so much on the ups. Before I knew it, I was flying down Table Ends Road with the biggest smile on my face, leaping across the ruts and trails as I ran. I even almost lost balance and landed in the same puddle Ruth Croft went in, but a tree branch saved me and I received a grand applause from those around me for a spectacular save. Flying into QVH was amazing. So many people, but so many more friends cheering me on, and I made it there in 6 hours on the dot. And another bunch of hugs from my crew and a loo stop, and my crew boss Trina had me sorted out in no time again, and I was in and out in 10 minutes again, and Mark was only 30 minutes ahead of me still. Everyone kept saying, go get him. I flew out of there and again knew this part of the course well. I ran down as much of Kadumba as I could, and my plan had been just to be at Lura Creek before it got dark. Well, I did that, and was still trudging up the hills to the aid station in the daylight. At the emergency aid station, I filled up once more, got my head torch out, ready as I knew once we were into the forest it would be dark, or almost dark. The kilometres from the bottom of Kadumba out to the finish were hard, but I never did wish that I wasn't doing it. I was so thankful to be doing it and to be heading into the unknown of what my body was capable. It thrilled me as I knew I was so close to my goal. Just one foot in front of the other and fueling every 30 minutes, alternating between gels and hot cross buns. And she writes, I'm good for about another 12 months with the hot cross buns. I embraced the hard. I felt so alive, so free, so strong, and so proud of myself. In the 5 months of training for this, I'd become so much healthier and I'd lost 20 kilos or 40 pounds too. It was dark once I made it into the forest, and at the picnic area I put my torch on and my high-vis. I'd read somewhere it was mandatory once it got dark, so I just decided to get organised. I had a very specific plan for this last part of the race along Federal Pass. I had done a night training run with Tony and his team from Blue Mountain Fitness, and they'd given me such valuable advice. So at the intersection, I fueled. Even if it was not time, at the waterfall just before Fuba, I stopped, fueled again, and put my poles away. I'd realised quickly in training I did not want to use poles up Fuba. Then we got to the base, and there they were stopping people who didn't have vests or torches on and getting them to put them on. I didn't need to stop because I was already good to go. So, on foot at a time, and with the memory of Ellie saying she'd been lurking on the stairs of previous years, I was too scared to stop anywhere. So I kept moving. Slowly, but I kept moving. And when I got to the top, my heart started racing and I got teary. I'd done it. This was the victory chute. Up the boardwalk I hiked, and then my brother-in-law was on the corner at the top of the boardwalk. I just lost it and sobbed and hugged him. I was so incredibly proud of myself. I had done this, and on my own. As I made it round the corner, I saw my nephew, who had also done the 50. He said, and she writes, little bugger who did it in 8 hours and had also done a half Ironman 2 weeks before. He told me how proud he was of me, and then my hubby came into the finish chute with me and just kept telling me how proud he was of me. My friends, my beautiful running family, were there by the finish line, screaming my name, and Ellie called me over the line. I dreamt of this moment all year, and I finally did it. When I crossed the line, I looked up and I couldn't read my name in time. I said to my hubby, did I do it? Did I get 12 hours? He said, Sian, you did it. You killed it. You did it in 11 hours 38. I cried so much. I'd only ever dreamt of finishing within the 14-hour cutoff, hopeful for 12 on an amazing day, but I did it in even less. This will be the best day ever for me, the best run ever, the best thing to ever achieve. She writes, 12 months ago, I didn't believe in myself, but something changed, and then I did. I have autoimmune arthritis too, so just to throw in a challenge to a challenge, and I'm now an ultramarathon. Best day ever, Sian. And now, here's our interview with Audrey.
Dirt Church Radio.
Audrey Lafrenière, welcome to Dirt Church Radio. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great today. Thank you.
That's good. Hey, look, you've come off a big couple of weeks. Media team at Western States, and then
in Silverton at Hard Rock doing trail work. What's it like working in an event like Western States and then making the jump to doing, grooming trails in Colorado?
Yeah, it's been a pretty hectic past month, I would say. This time of year is always busy for myself and my partner, Jeff. For the second year in a row, we are actually not working, but volunteering for the live stream and social media team at Western States. That all started because our good friend Hillary Yang is the manager of that team, and she, quote unquote, hired us or enlisted us to come volunteer. It started mostly, to be truly honest, Jeff was invited because, of course, of his video skills and being able to help with the live stream team. And then I just came along as kind of his assistant and personal driver and things like that. And this year, the second time around, I got a little bit more involved with the filming as well. With Jeff being injured at the moment, he couldn't really run as much and chase the runners around. So I did that and gave him the footage so that he can quickly turn around and produce those really nice reels, again, for social media and the live stream. So that's a really, really fun race and event to be a part of. But yeah, it is quite hectic following the race from, they start at 5 a.m., but we were up at 3 a.m. to make our way to the top of the escarpments, which is, the top of the very first climb during Western States, to be there before the race leaders. And then we're on the clock basically the whole day chasing the lead pack, both men and women, and up until the top 10 finishers at the track. So it's a pretty full-on day, and a half, really, but it's super fun and definitely quite a privilege to be involved in some capacity with this event. And of course, we like spending time down there and giving back to the racing community, seeing a lot of our friends, seeing a lot of elites. As a fan of the sports, of course, it's exciting to be there. So it's something that definitely it takes a lot of energy, and we pay out of our own pocket to get down there and to make this happen, but it's totally worth it. And yeah, just a good way to be involved. And then, quick turnaround to then go straight to Silverton, Colorado to take part in the yearly trail work that they do. So again, that's volunteer. In this case, of course, both Jeff and I are trying to get into Hard Rock eventually. And I'm sure your listeners are familiar with the lottery system. It's very difficult to get into. It takes years and years of applying and qualifying. But there is a bit of a not so secret trick that if you do some trail work 2 days in a row, that specific weekend, you double your ticket count in the lottery for the following year. So as someone who has never run Western Hard Rock, it's totally worth it. So for example, next year I will have, instead of 64 tickets, I'll have 128 in the lottery. It's valid only for 1 year. So the following year, if I don't do trail work again, I go back to my normal ticket count, but totally worth it. And as a woman never finisher, my odds will be pretty good next year. And so will Jeff's. I think with the trail work this year, Jeff will have 500 something tickets in next year's lottery. So odds are going to be pretty good for both of us. We
have a third co-host, Andrew, who'll be gnashing his teeth as he's editing this. He's been, he's done UTMB, he's done Western States.
Okay.
He's dying to get into Hard Rock. He goes to this race every year called Northburn, which is in Otago down in our South Island. And so there you go, Andrew. All you've got to do is fly to Colorado and do trail work.
Yeah, although I would recommend, if you're going to go all that way to do the trail work, stay an extra week to then spectate the race as well, which is what we would normally do, to be honest. We've done so 2 years ago and the year before that. So it's definitely been now a few instances that we got to spectate at Hard Rock or pace some friends or help crew for some people. This year, we didn't really have any other commitments. And again, with Jeff's injury, it just made more sense to come home a little bit early instead of staying down there for the race. So we came home a little bit sooner than planned, but normally we would have stayed as well to spectate or pace at the race. But also, unfortunately, Colorado has quite a few wildfires burning at the moment. And so the air quality was very hit and miss. Like some days you would never know that there were a fire nearby and the air quality was totally fine. And then, later that evening or the next morning, the air quality was terrible and, you're up in smoke and you can't really exercise or be outside. So it was quite unpleasant. So fingers crossed for the racers this year. As of now, it sounds like the race will go ahead. The air quality in Silverton is mostly unaffected. And they even had some rain, I think, today, but that can change, really fast. So who knows? I suspect they'll do something similar to last year where the air quality was also pretty bad at the start. And they basically gave all the runners an option if they did not feel safe to start the race to defer their entry to the following year, which I feel is totally fair,
That sounds pretty reasonable to me, and like a lot of goodwill there, but also kind of health and safety considerations and making sure people feel comfortable, which is really neat.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of applying that lens, you've got a pretty cool role, right? Like working media at Western States. How do you bring kind of that level of fun or comfort to being on the media team? Like, what were the highlights for you?
Yeah, I will say, though, being part of that team or even wearing the official media vest, I certainly always feel a bit of imposter syndrome, which I don't normally do. I feel most of what I have, the life I live, all of it is something I've earned and worked towards. I don't feel imposter syndrome in any other aspects of my life, but for that, I do a little bit because, again, I'm not really the one, holding the big camera. I'm not a photographer. Like, I'm not really the one capturing all the action. So I always feel like, I'm at the finish line and I'm wearing the same vest as all the media, but I'm the only one there without a massive camera. But anyway, so I know that I've earned my place there in different ways, and my contributions maybe are a little less obvious. But anyways, as far as being a fan of the sport and being able to really be like on the first lines of all the action is truly special. This year's race in particular was just so exciting on the women's side. I mean, I'm always more excited for the women's race, to be honest. But this year was particularly competitive and exciting, and we were all shocked at how tight the front pack was. Like some years, like you kind of have like a clear favorite and a clear winner from pretty early on, and it's never being contested, versus this year, there was multiple lead changes. In the top 5, there were multiple changes. There were people surging from 15th, 13th, 14th place that made it into top 10 in the end. So it was truly like one of the more exciting races that we've seen at Western States in a few years, I think. And it was, definitely quite cool being able to be there in person. It did make our job difficult because, again, like everything's just happening so fast. Like there is no room for error. There is no time to linger at any given aid station. Like top 10 is in, quickly we need to wrap up and make our way to the next place. And then typically what happens is like I'm frantically driving, trying to get us to next point as soon as possible, while Jeff is in the passenger seat editing on his laptop, trying not to get car sick and like posting the updates almost in real time. So yeah, it's challenging, but I mean it's super fun, and I just can't imagine doing a better job out there. I mean, kudos to like the aid station volunteers and the race marshals and things like that. Those positions are hugely valuable, of course, for the race. But I don't think that they get to see the race like the same way that we do, right? Where we go to the next point and all of a sudden the top 5 is completely changed, and we get to see firsthand like people fading or people on the contrary looking really strong and about to make a move. So it does feel a little bit like we get to see what's about to happen before it happens. And that's super fun.
And the racing was amazing this year, and I think the coverage just is elevated year on year, which is so great. And the emphasis and equality on women's coverage is also just getting better and better. You know, I guess we talked about, you've touched on imposter syndrome there. As a woman, like kind of showing up in media, like historically there was less of us in this space. You know, like what advice would you give to people, like to, you know, for women putting themselves out there or wanting to get into that space? Like how are you building confidence with that or kind of managing that?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult, and I don't think there's any, magic trick to it, unfortunately, or like a definitive playbook for it either. I think it's a lot of internal work to be done first and foremost, honestly, to build that, that internal confidence in yourself, but also that reassurance that you do belong in all those spaces. And for me, honestly, it was really always being as genuine as possible, not trying to oversell or not trying to embellish the things I'm doing, but really just kind of telling it as it is. And it so happens that some people do find that very impressive, others don't, and that's totally okay. And for me, it's accepting that what I'm doing, I think is impressive. Like, it's more than just results and numbers on papers. Like if you compare some of the things I've done, some of the races or adventures, like the average person look at this and thinks it's extraordinary. And I was like, you're right. Like it kind of is. Like it's hard because I think as regular athletes, like everyday athletes, we tend to compare ourselves maybe to the wrong crowd, which are the elites and the pro runners. And, and I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think if you compare yourself more to like the average population, then it becomes more like, I'm not trying to impress people, but I am trying to be aspirational, like showing them that, as an everyday person with a full-time job or like with average genetics or, you can do still like really cool stuff and put yourself out there and share about those experiences. And I think by having a bit of and again, I don't think by any means that like have a huge platform or like I'm a massive influencer or anything like that by any means, but even like, a modest following on social media, I realized that a lot of people relate to the content that I'm sharing or the experiences that I speak of. And that to me was like super validating. I was like, I think, it was validating to know that a lot of people find that inspiring or motivating, and more importantly, like relatable. And to me, relatability is way more important than trying to be impressive, I think.
I think one of the privileges of this, Church Radio, like, has been around for 8 years. It almost breaks your brain because we have the privilege of, we speak to, and it's like yourselves, we speak to everyone, but we do get the privilege of hanging out with these people who are they're the fastest trail runners of all time at the moment. Yeah. There's that peak of the sport. It can break your brain, comparison being the thief of joy, or I'm just going to burn my running gear. Onto the content. The content you create, it's amazing. And you both look genuinely like you're having a great time. The other thing I really appreciate is it feels like it's pitched at us, either late Gen Xers or elder millennials. It's not too fast. It's not too influencer like. But like anything we see online, I'm sure there's always more behind the story. What's one thing or a challenge in making this content that you think you'd like to get across that people don't realize? Because you must get a lot of, it must be nice. Must be nice to go to Peru. Must be nice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we do get a little bit of that. And I totally understand where that comes from. Like people only see what's out there or a fraction of it, right? But like it's taken years to get here. I just want to put that out there. Like the YouTube channel didn't grow to what it is now overnight. And you're right that I think, we're not like on TikTok. We don't do like short form content and that kind of thing. We don't do like stuff that goes viral overnight, right? So in a way that, and I think that's why it appeals, like you said, to, older millennials and, those generations more so than the younger kids. And we also don't do like super like trendy things. We're not trying to do that because our goal is truly just to have longevity and to put out quality content that matters more than everything else to us. And also we want to put things out there that people might still want to watch in 10 years. And if you're just like following like some trendy stuff and doing short form content just to go viral, it's irrelevant next month. You know what I mean? And so that doesn't really interest us. But yeah, I will say, and I mean, I say we, truthfully, again, like the YouTube channel is my partner, Jeff, who built it. It's him who does all the post-production. He's the creative, everything, right? I play a small role in it. But I've seen what it takes. Like, it's a decade of work. And before that, it's years of becoming good at shooting video and editing and putting music. And it's years and years and years of skill development. Like, none of this happened overnight. And same goes for like, having that social media presence and engaging with our community and putting ourselves out there again in a truly authentic way that makes people want to travel to Peru with us and allow us to have those, experiences. I think it's huge because again, that doesn't come easy. I feel immensely grateful that, people are willing to come on those adventures with us and in the way that has opened doors to us. But it is a ton of work. It did not happen overnight. There are different ways to get to where we are. I have nothing against TikTok stars or people going viral on other social media platforms that have a completely different approach. I also get the appeal of it for certain crowds, or like, we like to say that the younger generations have like really short attention span and they're not interested in watching a 60-minute doc on YouTube. But that's okay. Like, our content maybe is not for that crowd, and there's someone else putting that type of content out there for them, and I don't think it's better or worse. I just think it's different than what we try to do.
And it's interesting because creating content is your work, but then you're also showing up as an athlete, right? But creating content with your athletic hat on. So how do you balance staying present in a race with creating content? Like, for instance, when you're filming during a race, or like in your last video about Lake Sonoma, when you're cold and tired.
Yeah. It's that's definitely a challenge. But also in a way, sometimes it does keep me more engaged with what I'm doing. So I will say it's challenge, but it has its positives as well. Yes, for example, at Lake Sonoma, I had many challenges that day. But at the end of the day, I was determined not only to finish the race and get my qualifier for the year, and be successful there, but also I wanted to tell a good story. So sometimes it's almost helpful because when your race doesn't go to plan or you feel like you're having a terrible day, you can kind of focus on other things. Like, it's okay, I can still tell a good story here. I can focus on trying to show the scenery. I can focus on sharing the challenges I'm experiencing and trying to make that resonate with other people that might find themselves in this situation at a different race, right? So in a way, I don't see it as a negative at all. Like, I don't think it takes away from my racing experience. If anything, it adds to it a lot more than it takes. Another example is at UTMB in 2022, when I had, again, a terrible day. My race was not going the way I hoped. But in my mind, we were obviously making a film, and I kept thinking, I made it all this way. I've worked hard to get to UTMB, and I just really don't want this story to be about my first DNF. I just really did not want that. So it might sound, and again, I think there's a line to draw here. If I were in danger, or if I was like really physically ill, like continuing just to make a film is not a good reason. But I kept asking myself, if I need to tell the story of a DNF here, what am I going to say? Because I don't really have a good reason. I just, my feet hurt. I'm sore. I'm not, my stomach's not great. But like, are those like good enough reasons? Like if I make a story about a DNF because my stomach isn't great, like, come on, that's not the story I want to tell here. So it really did keep me in the race. Like at the end of the day, I was like, no, like I'm going to show the story I want to tell is how, I wasn't having the ideal day, but I could still get it done. I still felt extremely lucky and grateful to be able to be there. Like, because if you look at the big picture, like so few runners will ever get the chance to experience that race. And in the end, again, on paper, like I look at my results at the end and I wasn't super satisfied with my finishing time or my performance in general, but like I was 47th woman in a field of hundreds, in a field of thousands of runners from all over the world. Like I wasn't doing bad at all, and that, that perspective sometimes, unfortunately, it came after the fact, but like there's a scene of me at the finish line and saying, wow, like I cannot believe that I made it in the top 50 after having like such a hard day. And like, I'm not kidding myself. I know nobody cares about a top 50. Like it's not, sponsors are not knocking on my door after that. But like I looked at it and I was like, I wasn't even near like mid-pack. I was still very much like faster than the average woman out there. Like, so these experiences, again, like they help me put things into perspective that sometimes you're having a bad day, but I still want to tell a somewhat positive story, whether it's a story of everything going right and having a great day, or it's a story of everything seemingly going wrong and still persevering and coming out the other side feeling accomplished, And again, I think those stories are very much worth telling. And I think that's a good differentiator. And again, going back to what we spoke about earlier as the average runner perspective versus like, this is not the story of I'm an elite, I'm going to nail it out of the park, I'm going to execute everything perfectly, I'm going to come out in top 10. That's not at all what this is about. And that film, has almost 3 million views now on YouTube. That's one of our best performing videos ever. And people still, leave comments on this, on the film to this day. And so, in hindsight, it was so worth it, even with all the struggles. And now when I have a race that's tough, I often think about those moments that it's like, it's okay. Like I'm struggling now, but I just need to get through it and it will be worth it. And there will be a good story at the end of it. And that's kind of how for me anyway, the filming plays a part in my success, honestly.
Can I just say I'm in awe of your 3 million views. In New Zealand, our population is 5 million. That's like 60% of our population have watched your YouTube video.
That's amazing. I know, I'm still in awe of it too. And honestly, sometimes a little embarrassed. I'm like, I cannot believe that many people have seen that. Like, but hey, so cool. I think it resonates with a lot of people. And at the end of the day, that's super validating. So yeah.
It's an incredibly refreshing way to, you're writing your narrative. We've all got a narrative in our lives. We've all got a narrative. Well, I mean, all we are is a collection of stories, right? And we all have our narrative in our heads when we're starting a race, when we're mid-pack or when we're finishing. That's a really interesting way of you're externalizing your narrative in a way, but you're also, you're driving it. You're saying, hey, look, there's other facets. I'd never considered that before. Thank you. That's incredible. Just looping back to Lake Sonoma, how was that? One of the things I was struck with was, and I wonder if you thought this too, how similar the terrain looked to actually back here in New Zealand. Like the sort of muddy ribbons, the California carpet, as you called it. How was that race?
Yeah. Well, I have not been to New Zealand yet, so I don't know how it compares, but I'm glad to hear that some of it resembled the California carpet. We will make it to New Zealand sooner than later. It's very high on our list of places to visit. We'd love to take part in Tarawera in some capacity in some year as well, for sure. That's high on the list. But that race was, again, not what we expected. The weather made it very challenging and turned the trails into a very muddy mess. But for the most part, honestly, it was still like just like a stunning area. Lake Sonoma, like visually, is quite astonishing. And yeah, the trails for the most part were really fun. Like there were a couple sections where you're like on a wide Jeep track or even like Forest Service Road, but those were really short sections. Like the majority of it, you're either like up on some like rolling ridges where everything around you is just like bright green grassy slopes and then the lakes in the distance, or you were like in this like really cool forest with like tight trees and just like a really narrow single track. So honestly, I thought the course was really beautiful. And as far as, race organization, I give those guys an A+. Like they did a great job in terms of like how well supported the event is. Volunteers are amazing. You could tell there's like this huge local community behind it that really takes pride in their event and their area. And the host town as well, Hellsburg, was really cute, super welcoming, lots of good places to eat, good cafes, like really just good vibes all around. So by all means, I do recommend the event like as a destination race to get a Western States qualifier. And I think it's like also like a pretty, mostly runnable, fairly fast 100K, I think, with better conditions. But so it's a fun one, honestly, for anyone looking for a qualifier in the area or looking for an excuse to visit California in the spring. I hear it doesn't rain that much every year, so you might be luckier than us and have a good day. Although, as maybe you've heard during the film, a lot of locals that we spoke to, they were actually quite grateful for the rain because I guess some years it can be really hot, or like you spent like a long time completely exposed in the sun, and that can be pretty brutal too. So like I'd take something in the middle, like the gnarly storm that we had was maybe a little much, but a little bit of rain and cloud cover is nice.
You've done a good job of selling Lake Sonoma to us, to be honest. It does sound pretty awesome.
I like the wine and flowers at the end too. That was pretty sick. Like
that was
really
such a nice touch. I agree. Yeah, the flowers and the local bottle of wine. I mean, at this rate, I should maybe send an invoice to Tourism California or something for for all the things I just said.
Totally. But you actually live in Canada and Vancouver, right? Which
yes,
seems like just the most amazing place to be if you love the outdoors. What is the local trail running and racing scene like there?
I mean, I'm biased, but it is the best in the world. I mean, I grew up in Quebec, so the French province of Canada, literally across the country here. But I moved to Vancouver when I was 22 years old. Honestly, at first, I just wanted to learn English because I spoke only French growing up. My parents don't speak English at all. But yeah, I had that bit of a, adventurous side to myself, and I was looking to explore a little bit. And yeah, I wanted to be bilingual. So I came out here to learn English, obviously fell in love with the place because of the outdoors, the access to the mountains here, to trails, to the ocean. I mean, it's true what they say. Like in Vancouver, you can paddleboard, ski, and hike or trail run all in the same day. You can mountain bike. We really have it all here. So yeah, the access is really hard to match. Where we live in North Vancouver, I'm 500 meters from the ocean or 500 meters from Mount Seymour, which is a really nice little local mountain here with a huge trail network and also good skiing. Decent skiing in the winter. For the good skiing, we do have to go a little bit further north, but decent enough skiing to do like weekday training ski runs and that kind of thing. So I do really think that Vancouver has it all. And I mean, we travel a lot, obviously, these years, and I'm not complaining. I absolutely love this life that we have and always grateful for opportunities to visit different countries, different places. I absolutely love that, but I notice more and more that when we come back home, I'm never upset, It's like, oh yeah, we get to go home back to North Vancouver, which is a phenomenal place to live. So it's like, I'm never mad, about going home. Like, I can't believe we're going home already. It's quite nice here. We're very lucky to live in such a place. And there's a huge trail running community. There's a lot of local events, local trail races. There's a big ultra scene. I know again, the average population, our lifestyle sounds a little bit crazy, but I promise you that in the bubble where we live, Jeff and I are pretty average, and it's not unusual for people around us to run 100 milers, 200 milers, to do ultras multiple times a year, to, travel for races. So I say average in a way that, not unusual, we don't stand out because everybody does this. Everybody also is a multi-sport athlete. A lot of people here were trail runners, but we ski in the winter. We do some kind of water sports, or a lot of people are also mountain bikers. We really don't stand out in that way. It's pretty funny. Within our circle of friends, or within the trail running community here, that is huge. What we do is not that unusual, which is kind of cool, but also sometimes you lose perspective, right? When then you speak to someone who maybe isn't connected to that world, you do sound a little bit crazy. But for the most part, there's a big community of people just like us here.
It sounds amazing. All of those fun activities right on your doorstep. How do you kind of balance that? Are you quite varied with your approach to training? What's your take on
I would say so.
Balancing that?
Yeah, I would say so. I'm a big believer in having a proper off season. So in the winter months where I'll still be running a little bit, but I like to give that system a break, basically, where my running is really just a bit of maintenance, and I kind of run only when I feel like it, not because I have to. And then that makes more space for skiing and maybe strength training, or sometimes I'll pick up a yoga membership to do a little bit more of that in the winter. Really just making more time and space for other things. I'm also a pretty avid gravel rider, so I have a gravel bike that I like to get out on multiple times a week if I can. I do think that's one of the things that's kept me healthy and injury-free for quite a while. For all those years, I think variety is important. Again, might be different if I was someone who, if I was constantly trying to be on podiums or trying to be ultra competitive in the sport. I think different approaches also work better for different people. But personally, that's part of the reason why we still live here. That's why we still have an address in North Vancouver, because frankly, we could also just live anywhere else or travel even more. But one of the reasons why we still have an apartment here is so that we can have that lifestyle when we're home, and we can have this kind of, home base, but that also feels like it feels good to be here. So again, winter is when I will spend a little bit more time on skis. Always depends what my objectives are for the season. The past 2 years, or 25, 26, I made the silly decision to sign up for a spring race. So 100K in April. For me, it feels early. Normally, I would do maybe a 50K to kind of kick off my season, and then keep the longer races for a little bit later in the year so that I don't have to train as much over the winter months. Past 2 years, I've made the mistake to sign up for an April 100K, so I've had to train more over the winter. This year, I keep telling to my friends, remind me not to sign up for a spring race again, or a shorter one, so I can ski a little bit more and have more of a longer off season, because I do miss that. So it depends how I structure my seasons. Basically, depends when the big races are coming. Typically I like to keep the longer stuff for a little bit later in the summer, or even early fall. So that gives me, all spring, summer to build up to it, to increase my mileage, and basically to have some adventures and play in the mountains all summer and use that as training, basically.
Something that we struggle with in Aotearoa is we don't really have an off season. It's year round. It's relatively temperate. It does get cold. It does get very cold. It gets very wet. It gets very hot. But it's not sort of packed down, especially where we both live. We live in different cities, but
it's not a clearly defined
no,
different season.
No,
yeah,
and I go back and forth on it. Like, is it a positive thing? You keep, the older I get, I tend to sort of think about your way of doing things might be much more smarter. That's terrible.
Yeah,
English.
That is something I wonder about. Like, if I lived somewhere else, if I lived somewhere with not so defined seasons, like, would I just be running year round as much? And then it's like, basically, you're just stringing together training cycle after training cycle after training cycle, which I think at some point, it's just really good to have an off season.
Hey, what made you decide to step into the coaching space?
Well, honestly, that felt like a pretty natural next step, or like a pretty natural evolution for me. Just as a person, that's something I've always had interest into. For a while, I actually thought I might become a kinesiologist or a strength coach. I had big interest into that when I was a bit younger. One of my first kind of student jobs was I worked in a gym, and the owner, my boss, was really keen on helping me with my development. So, he would enroll and pay for some courses that I would take to be a bit more confident working in a gym and helping people out. And so I thought I might go into that direction. Ultimately, I didn't. I chose completely different field of studies, which is absolutely not related to what we're talking here. But and then somehow it just came up again a little bit later on in life, where I was working for Arc'teryx. I had a corporate job. I worked at the head office, which is here in North Vancouver, and it was all great as far as corporate jobs go. It was pretty good, but it was still a corporate job looking at spreadsheets and doing something that didn't really care that much about, So I think in getting a little bit disinterested with that, I was looking for other ways to I don't know, to make a contribution, to feel a bit more fulfilled, but also while still, having an income. And more, I've heard about other people becoming coaches, and I got curious about like what it took and what that might look like for me. I felt like already with my personal experience and different courses I had done, some knowledge I've had along the way. At some point, I've also worked in a running store where I was leading some road running clinics and things like that. And having worked myself with different coaches along the way, I got curious about those things and wanting to learn more. And again, going back to imposter syndrome, I felt that I could not be a coach without formal or some kind of formal education or certification. But listening more and inquiring about how others became coaches, I've learned about this online course that I decided to take. And that was kind of just the final nudge I needed. And that gave me like the little confidence that I needed to take that next step and make it happen. But I will say, it's something I've always had an interest in. I just felt, I don't know, I never felt fully ready. In hindsight, now I feel like I should have done that much sooner. I don't know why I waited so long, because I enjoy it so much. It just feels really natural to me. It's often doesn't really feel like work for me to be like building training programs and looking at people's training and seeing how we can improve certain things or modify or whatever. That is something I truly can lose myself into. And I think that's a huge, benefit when you do something that you enjoy so much that it doesn't really feel like work. It felt like a natural transition, and it felt like it would also fit so well within our lifestyle. Obviously, being able to be my own boss, control how many and who my clients are, working on my own time from anywhere. So obviously not attached to an office or anything like that. So it just made sense for me to do something like that. And the fact that it's also, it's it's a fun field to be in, honestly. Like the people I get to meet, obviously I have clients from all over the world because our audience is from everywhere. So I'm not limited to coaching, people that are in Vancouver or whatever. Like I have clients in Europe, in New Zealand, actually, Australia, the UK. So a lot in the US and in Canada, of course. But that's one of the best thing about it is like it's so varied, the type of people I get to work with and where they're from and where they train. It's really been interesting to learn about all that. And I always love when I have a new clients like going through the onboarding phase and like learning literally about the most basic things like, okay, where are you training? And then I might be looking on Google Map, or I'll be like checking your Strava activities to look like what's in your neighborhood, what do you have access to, where can you reasonably go run on the weekend? Like, am I crazy to tell you to go like 2 hours away? Like what, So that part I find is really fun. And then obviously there's the part where you literally help people reach their goals or do things they never thought was possible. There's nothing better than that. So yeah, it's been good. Something I really, really enjoy at the moment, and fits really well with everything else that we're doing, especially the group trips that we're hosting now. I have some clients that I help them prepare for that as well. So it all fits really well together. And then recently we started integrating some coaching talks on our YouTube channel where we sit down and talk about Jeff's training, for example, for Cocodona 250 that he did in the spring. And that's been really well received. Like it seems people find that really interesting as well. So again, it's just a way that it feels like what we do has come kind of full circle in a way.
It sounds like you've got a really great balance going on there with the way that you get to engage with others, but also, like for you and Jeff to have a pretty epic lifestyle. How does, like for both of you, how do you manage to, as a couple, balance your goals? Because you've both got things going on. So
yeah, that's definitely a bit tricky, and something I think will never really be perfect. And I think that's okay. I think the two of us understand that we need to have flexibility, and sometimes priorities will shift basically. And I think we're both okay with that. But of course, the fact that, again, we're decent runners, but we're not competitive for the sake of being competitive. So I think that takes off a lot of that pressure, where, like if we line up at races or sign up for big adventures and stuff, we're just in it like for fun. We're never really in it to win or anything like that. So it makes it easier to, if it has to take less priority or less time to commit to it, like then that's, it's okay. 'Cause I never hold myself to perfection. Like if I have a training block that didn't go as planned because there were other priorities, or I needed to support Jeff with something, or a big project came up, like it's okay. Like I can roll with the punches. I can live with that. So I think, being adaptable obviously is huge. And I truly believe that, training blocks don't have to be perfect to be effective. Like that's the first thing I tell my athletes, again, when I onboard them, like this is a training plan, but I literally never expect anyone to follow this to 100%. Doesn't have to be perfect to be effective. You do need to show up, of course. And that's what I do as well in my own training. But I know better. And I say this as a very type A person, but I know better than trying to do everything to 100% to the minute or to, the kilometer or, some little things like that you really need to let go of. But for the most part, Jeff and I will often sit down in the fall and kind of make a plan for the following year. And we first, we'll have like the bigger objectives. So for example, this year for him was the Cocodona 250 in April. And then we both have a 100-miler at the end of the year in November. So those are kind of the two big pieces that we know we need to be ready for and commit a lot of time to, and everything else in between we have more flexibility with. So usually we'll plan a season around one or two big objectives in terms of running or races. Unfortunately, like a lot of people, the past few years, they have been around getting our hard rock qualifiers, that kind of thing, or Western States qualifier. And then everything else is just, the rest, it can be more flexible, and we just kind of fill the rest of the season a little bit more loosely. Sometimes we have some last minute projects that come up that we have space for. We're lucky to be in a place where we can say yes. But I will say very often, like almost a full year in advance, we know roughly what next year is going to look like and what our priorities are and where we'll be at certain times of the year. So planning goes a long way, but being flexible, I think, is way more important. So that's kind of what we're trying to balance. And it helps that we often have similar objectives, obviously very similar interests and things that we both want to do. So for example, we're both running UTCT at the end of the year, which is great because the few months leading up to it, we know we'll be training together. So our schedules will look very similar and we don't have to be pulled in different directions because we're training for the same objectives. Or if we're going fast packing together, again, like that, there's no conflict there. Like we're training the same way, preparing the same way for the same objectives. So it is pretty rare that we will have like conflicting schedules. Even this spring, when Jeff was training for Cocodona, I was still preparing for Lake Sonoma, which in terms of distance obviously doesn't really compare. But still, we were both kind of really focused on like preparing for our spring races. And then as soon as my April race was done, my focus shifted then to supporting Jeff at Cocodona. And it was great timing because then I was recovering from a race anyway. I wasn't training much, so I couldn't dedicate all my time to that. And vice versa, when he's in recovery or right now he's been injured, so he's been more able to support me. So that might look like little things, like he's going to drop me off to do a long run or pick me up at the end or like provide like logistical support. So it's kind of nice, obviously, that we have the same interest, the same passion. We often joke that if one of us wasn't a runner, we'd probably never see each other because we just spent like so much time training and often together, which is super nice. I feel lucky that we have that between us. I know it's not the same for every couple, but for us, it's it just works out.
What do you like more? Do you like a 100-mile race or any race, or do you like your fast packing? What fills your cup more?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, I would have to say fast packing. It's just so good. Like, all you have to do every day is get from point A to point B. There is no stress of like time barriers or performance even. It's all about enjoyment and like moving fast-ish in the mountains. But like, for me, those are usually, like if we do 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, is usually when I'm like the more at ease. There's very little stress, even though some people might be intimidated by doing, those kind of distances every day or running multiple days in a row. Like for me, it doesn't get better than that. Like we do group trips where, of course, there's a bit of we have to be social. We have to be, we have to be engaging with people and meeting new people. And it's a bit of a different dynamic. We enjoyed that a lot, but I would say the two of us are pretty introverted. So usually at the end of those weeks, we do feel pretty tired, not from the running, not from the physical exertion, but from the socializing a lot all week. And also a bit of stress from like wanting to make sure people have a good time and a positive experience and feel good. And, so we do feel a little bit of that pressure. So usually when those trip ends, we sigh a breath of relief if nobody got hurt or nobody had negative things to say about the trip. So for us, like there's nothing more relaxing than then going do our own fast pack and just be the two of us. And yes, we're just going to be running a lot and it might be hard and it might be some big days. But for me, that truly feels like, okay, we have a vacation now because it's just the two of us. And all we have to do every day is just run from point A to point B, get to the next hut, have a good meal, sleep, do it all over again tomorrow. Like I could do this forever. And I think there will come a point where were not interested or excited about doing races anymore, I think that we're still going to want to be fast packing, just the two of us together. So I think that long term, like that's always going to be a thing. So yeah, if I had to choose between the two, for sure, I think fast packing is where my heart is. That said, I'm not ready to not be doing races anymore. I've still got some big bucket list items, of course, that I wanna check. And for the most part, I do enjoy a good Type 2 adventure. So when races are really Type 2 fun adventures, when races are really tough, you look back at it and you think, actually, like, that was a lot of fun. That was a good day. Like it was hard, but like I would do it again. And I think that's why I keep signing up for those 100 milers. Like if you ask me at mile 70 if I'm having fun, the answer is probably no. Why am I doing this? Get me out of here. But I'm always like so happy when I finish. And then, a few days later, I look back fondly on the whole thing and I can't wait to do it again. So it's hard to explain, but I'm sure every ultra runner out there has felt that way, right? Like you're in the moment, you question your life choices and you think it's dumb and you can't find a good reason why you would want to do this again. And 2 days later, like you sign up for another race. So I do, obviously I do enjoy that aspect too. And as a almost 40-year-old woman, I would like to see what my performance potentially looks like, in my early 40s after more than 2 decades of building and working hard. And, I've said this before, but I think my best running years are still ahead of me potentially. So that's also one reason why I don't think I would stop racing voluntarily, like anytime soon. I think I could still have some good races out there and potentially do better. And I think once you start believing that you can still improve, then that's maybe racing stops being fun. But for now, I'm not there yet. I still think that I can get stronger and have some good performances, and maybe it's at the longer stuff. I'd love to try a 200 miler one day. So, there's still lots of things that I want to do in terms of races. But if I had to choose between the two, fast packing for sure has my heart.
I'm curious, you kind of touched on the fact that you guys are a bit more introverted. How do it must be an interesting kind of a balance having that kind of private or going back into yourself side, but having content out there for people to feel like they really know you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the parasocial relationship is interesting for sure. And for the most part, it's something we enjoy, like for sure. Like again, I always get a kick out of being recognized out on the trails or at events, and like by all means, like we'll never be mad or offended that people come and say hi. Like some people are a bit weird with it, though, I will say. Or like, they'll come up to us and they assume that we also know them, and they don't introduce themselves, right? So it's like, I'm sorry, you seem to know who I am. I have no idea who you are, but like, yeah. So don't be weird about it. Come up to us, introduce yourself. We'll be more than happy to shake hands and share stories. Like we're not antisocial. We're not shy. We're very, we can be outgoing. But yeah, we both do need like some time alone. Between Western States and Hard Rock, we were 3 days where we didn't talk to anyone. And we both like just really needed that reset. So it's a balance that we really do need to have. I think me more so than Jeff. Jeff, it's funny because, he's introverted, but he's also the most social person I know, I think. Like, if you've got a good conversation going, like he can talk to you forever. And he thrive as well in like busy environments where there might be a lot of people and a lot of conversations going in different directions, where for me that's really overwhelming. I love a small group setting or close friends, dinner with 2 or 3 people. I feel quite uncomfortable in like crowded spaces where you need to engage with multiple people for very short periods. Like I just struggle with that so much. But yeah, it's a strange thing to balance. And again, I'm not antisocial. I'm I can be talkative. I'm not shy, but at the end of the day, I do need a little bit of personal time and my own space, and maybe just be reading a book or something. That's something that really, really calms me.
You've got to have your own little walled off little garden, don't you? We all do. That's something that's just special. I had a experience once going to Tarawera. It was the first time working on the commentary team, really anxious to please and to make this work, get to the hotel where we meet the Ironman executives, and this woman steps forward, she shakes my hand and she says, her opening line was, "I listen to you when I fall asleep."
Oh.
If I could have jumped out of the second story window of the hotel, I started to sweat. I got really anxious, very that. And turns out, knowing Peps now, she was just messing with me, totally.
Okay.
Just, just the knockout punch to start. But yeah, that was.
Oh my gosh.
That's one that sticks out in my head.
Yeah.
Do you find I think people say Kiwis are very similar to Canadians, and perhaps Aussies are a bit more overt and similar to, your North American brethren down, the people who live below you guys. Do you find that in Canada people are generally a lot more chill? Like they'll leave you alone?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think it depends where in Canada, but I think generally I would say so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much the same here, Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We it's funny, so there's a couple local races that we've been around for the past couple summers. So we like to go and spectate and cheer people on, because it's literally just on our backyard trail and we're probably out running anyway. So we're like, okay, let's go intersect with the course and we can cheer people on. But recently we realized we can't do that, because people will recognize us, and people will stop in the middle of their races to talk to us and shake Jeff's hand. And last year, we had two people tripping because they were staring at us we're some crazy celebrities, and they trip, and then we feel bad because it's we're ruining their races, and we're what are you doing? You're we'll say hi, give you a high five, but please keep running your race. It's a 50K. You don't have time to chat for 5 minutes. It's not a 200 mile. So yeah, we realized we can't really do that. More and more I get recognized too, but mostly Jeff. I often joke I just can't go anywhere with him because he'll be stopped every 2 meters, someone wants to talk to him and stuff like that. So it's pretty annoying to go for a run. But obviously I say that very lighthearted. It's not a problem. It's not an inconvenience by any means. It's quite fun. Again, we're always super pleased to be recognized, and people introducing themselves and telling us a little bit about them or how they know us or why they enjoy our content. It's super flattering. It's super validating. It's fun. Overall, it's super positive.
Audrey, you've been so generous with your time with us today, and we really appreciate it. And and if there is 2 words that get bandied about too much in this trail runner culture, it's inspirational and epic. But it's been an epic conversation and really inspirational, refreshing. Thank you so much. We'd like to ask you the same question we ask everyone who comes on Dirt Church Radio. And Audrey, what's been your greatest run ever?
Yeah, it will have to be a loop that we did in the Tetons National Park in Wyoming. A couple summers ago we did that, and I don't love that it's in the US. I would have loved to showcase something about BC or Canada or I don't know. But I have to say that trail just really left a mark on me. We do have a short film that's about 35 minutes on it. And I've actually just yesterday reshared it because I don't know, sometimes I go down a rabbit hole and I watch some of our old videos, or I go catch up on newer comments and things like that. And this one just kind of popped up. And so I rewatched it and I was like, oh my gosh, that was such a perfect day. It's just a big loop, 62 kilometers, so easily done for a big training day. And just everything about that day was perfect. One of the most, honestly, ratio, mile for mile, one of the prettiest trails that I've been on. The scenery is just 10 out of 10 from start to finish. there's nobody there, like outside of the, you park at a big visitor center and like around the lake where you start, like it's a bit crowded because it's super accessible. 5 kilometers further, you have the trail to yourself almost for the whole day. Like it's just incredible that, such places exist and are that easily accessible. And yet they don't feel like they feel super like underrated or people just don't know about them. So I will say that was, one of the best like adventure days that we've had. So yeah, it's called the Grand Tetons Loop, and it's worth checking out if you're ever in that area. But for me, that is a day that stands out as, like just everything was perfect. We saw a lot of wildlife, black bears, moose, lots of birds. It had marmots, squirrels. It was fantastic.
The first video of yours that I ever watched was that one.
Really? It was that one?
Yeah.
Oh, what a
Yep.
coincidence.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, then
fantastic.
you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I mean, it doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't do it justice. But look, Audrey, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on Dirt Church Radio. Good luck for the rest of the year. Give our best to Jeff. Hope he heals up nice and soon. And we'll look forward to seeing you down in Aotearoa really, really soon.
Thank you so much. It was great meeting you guys. Thanks for having me on. And yes, all the best for your season as well. Or I guess you're going into winter now.
Sort of midway through it. It's pretty chill.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Talking about parasocial, because I've watched so many videos that, her and Jeff have been, and when she popped up onto the screen, I had a moment of going, I know you. And we've never spoken before or anything like that. But what a stud. What an incredible conversation and way to manage. Yes, Andrew.
I have a question. I'm not very smart.
Yes.
What does parasocial mean?
Parasocial is when, so when you have, say, heard someone's voice on a podcast for a long time or seen someone and seen a window into their life that even if you don't know them, you feel like you know them.
And that's a parasocial moment?
Yes, parasocial relationship.
I'm just trying to figure out where I use it. So, oh man, this is so parasocial right now.
Like a parasocial, something that's parasocial would be like you'd hear about Shortland Street actors getting shouted at in the supermarket.
Right.
That, they shouldn't
by
have
their
let
name.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Margot die. Madam, I'm not a real doctor. I'm an actor.
You're not
and
in
this
Guatemala
is
now.
Greyland Food Town.
Dr. Ropas.
Yeah.
Raylan Food Town. Food Town?
Food Town. Beautiful. 3 guys.
Show my age.
Wow, that really is.
This is St. Luke's Big Fresh, and Madam, I need you to let go of me. But I had that. It was a moment of.
I wish we had a big
Yeah,
fresh.
it was cool, but she was cool with.
My bestie Audrey.
I love the Rotorua Big Fresh. How good was the Rotorua Big Fresh, man? You'd go there and it had like, Ellie's like, what? That didn't
Yeah.
exist. It did. And it had all
Did
those
it?
awesome tomatoes that moved, like animatronics. They were up
So
on
for
the...
those not from Aotearoa, New Zealand, the Big Fresh was quite a strange, dark little offshoot of the Woolworths food group, which is you went into the supermarket and it was all kind of like, I don't know, satanic, bionic, munch bunch vegetables,
Super weird, but awesome.
anthropomorphic vegetables with faces that moved.
Ellie's like, what?
And that was,
I think I might be too young for this. I don't know.
I guess so.
you are
missed out.
How much younger than us are you? Not that much younger, let's be honest.
I'm not
so
playing that game,
much
Matt.
younger than
I'm not
you
playing that
two.
game at all.
You two boomers.
Yeah, early 30s.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I did Freedom this weekend.
you?
This week, I finally made it because it's a school holiday, so I can actually do something like that. And just
How was it?
speaking of old, yes, I felt like grandpa turning up to these things with all these
Cooked
young bucks. But it was great, actually. It was cool, good catch ups, and got to talk audio waveforms on roadways. Riveting stuff with Leonard.
Wow.
Very cool.
The next opportunity I get to go, I'm going. And lots of love to those doing virtual July. I know a bunch of you still out there getting amongst it. What are we, day 13? That's a cheeky 1,300 metres of vert. And tomorrow, 13, I can't even say it, 13,100?
No, 1,400.
There's another 100 metres going on there.
1,400 is what you're going for.
1,400, that's right.
Yeah.
What the heck?
That is 1,300 plus 100.
Wow,
Yeah.
Matt. 14.
So when but actually 1,500 when this comes out.
Okay.
Yes.
That's every day, and then 1,600 the next day. If you live like near Te Araho or whatever, then it'll probably work.
That'd be so easy.
Not if you live in the middle of Auckland. Not so good.
No.
It's my excuse anyway.
Start in the basement of the Sky Tower every day and run to Mount Eden.
Oh yeah,
We should probably draw a gossamer curtain of modesty on this shambles. Thanks again, Audrey. Amazing. Dirt Church Radio is presented by me, Matt Raymond.
Me, Ali Pottinger.
and me, Andrew McDowell.
We're on all the podcast platforms, so like, follow, and give us a rating. It really helps. And we're on social media at Dirt Church Radio, and you can email us at dirtchurchradio@gmail.com.
And sign up to our Substack for a weekly newsletter and aid station podcasts, and also write in with your greatest run ever. We'd love to hear from you, and you can read them on the website too.
And thanks to our supporters further faster, our Substack subscribers and the DCR Aid Station crew. Stay tuned for our show in 2 weeks when we have another great guest lined up.
Oh my goodness.
For those who've never heard this podcast before, he doesn't always talk like that. Mate wa.
Yes, it does.
He pretty much does.